Yeah, introduce yourself, tell your cosplay name, or whatever name you go by when you cosplay.
Hi, I'm Gaara, General Gaara from Naruto Shippuden, the manga. What do I go by when I cosplay? Usually what I'm cosplaying that sort of day. A lot of people know me as Sakura or Tifa or Gaara. I do his tune in advanced version too. But if you follow me on YouTube, I am SimbaLover247 or To the Stars and Back on DeviantArt, as well as Kashao Sayuri. I run Kashao Sayuri cosplay group. So yeah.
How did you get into cosplay?
Well, I got into it through a former friend. Like, I've always watched, like, Pokemon, Sailor Moon, all that sort of stuff, and I was always interested in it. But once I met her and was getting to know her more, she pulled me into it, and she showed me Final Fantasy VII, which was one of my first cosplays.
How long have you been cosplaying?
This is going on my third year, I think, at least for cons. I think it's been a little bit longer for cosplaying, exactly. So I started somewhere in my sophomore year of high school.
How many cosplays have you done?
Oh, joy. Well, I have kind of a long list, but a lot of them are casuals, which is, like, they're not the accurate stuff, it's just stuff we have in our closets that we throw together. I have Sakura from Naruto Shippuden, Final Fantasy VII, I have Tifa Lockhart, Advent Children, and Precious Core version. I have my own version of Taiwan. I have Shalua Rui from Final Fantasy VII, Dirge of Cerberus. I have casual versions of Sarah Farron from Final Fantasy 13, as well as Vanille. I guess I can kind of do Japan from Italy, that's not include that in there too. I do Sai from Naruto. I think there's anyone else off the top of my head. Some of your favorite stuff I have in my closet. I think that's about it. I'm not sure if I find any more. I'll just go with them and pick out them.
How do you get your costumes?
A lot of them I make, like, all this, including my shoes, I have made, I've only ever bought one complete costume, and that was my Sakura for no costume. And I really love that, and I love the fact that I can wash it more than once and it not get frayed or anything. But, I usually make all of them. Like, the casual stuff that's just clothes, and the others that we have are little pieces that we made to go with them, so.
What is your first cosplay, and why did you choose it?
My first costume was Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. My friend talked me into doing it. Originally, I think I was more of Aerith at the time, but I've kind of grown into the Tifa role as I've grown more from being shy and really lovable into more outspoken and a fighter, I guess. I really like the costume. I mean, it's really comfortable, and I really pride myself for it. It's my first costume ever. It was difficult working with the pleather, but it came out really good in my opinion. I'm just really proud of the fact that my pants, they're not the same material, they're actual pants that kind of flare out like they're kind of supposed to. And I made belt loops on them for the bows, and I don't have shoelaces on my shoes, and I have ribbons keeping them together. And I'm just really proud of that one.
What is your favorite cosplay, and why?
Probably this, because I love Gaara, and I love getting all the attention, because there are a lot of Gaara cosplayers, and I will give you guys credit, but I really pride myself on my boards, because I actually make them like kind of more accurate size. It's about, like, I know this couch is kind of eating me, but it goes from about where my hips are to top of my head, which is pretty big, but Gaara's board is kind of that way. I get kind of like upset and frustrated when I see people making boards like this big, and I don't think that's representing him very well. So this is probably my favorite one, especially this version of it. You know, there's a lot of layers, it's really comfortable, and yeah, I love every single thing I've made for this costume.
What is your favorite thing about cosplaying?
Oh, the people, by far, definitely the people. Being a cosplayer, and especially with my group, we do a lot of skits and judging for our costumes, so we meet a lot of people through that. And we talk to them, we learn a lot of things from them, and we also make friends out of it. We've made a lot of good friends from conventions that we still talk to. And I love the fact that we're just one big family. Like, in the normal world, if you leave your stuff sitting somewhere, it's probably going to be gone when you go back. But if you go to a convention or something, people will watch after it for you, even though they don't know you. And they may not know you, but they may know your characters, so they may come up and just start talking to you randomly about something, and you talk with them, and you have a good time. You don't have to know them, and we're just one really big, happy, and dysfunctional family.
Do you have a cosplay pet peeve?
Oh, yes, I do. I hate cosplays that people think are perfect. Yes, they may be perfect, but once you get there, where are you going to go from there? I love having cosplays and then being able to build off of them or to redo pieces of them. And I really don't like, this is probably my other one either, I don't like people that judge cosplays. They say, oh, that looks like crap. But you don't know the person and what they have. I don't have a lot of money, and yeah, I can still make stuff. It's just being innovative and creative and just trying to do things with what you have. And I've gotten things saying some of my cosplays aren't the greatest, you could have done this better. Yes, I could have, but I'm proud of what I have done. And I'm not the greatest seamstress in the world by far, but I make do with what I can do, and I just really think that goes a long way. This one looks like from the top down, so that way I explain a little bit more. The wig I got off of eBay, which is probably my favorite wig ever because it's really extremely comfortable. And then my makeup was done by the photographer, which took about an hour because we couldn't get it right the first couple of times. And I have a lot of layers, so I'm going to be stripping, not really. This was fairly easy to make. Just made the different pieces. The hardest part was trying to get the necklines to line up. But it's just like a gray vest. And then I have straps on them because he technically has belts, but that's too much effort to try and go all the way around with belts and you're already wearing the board. So I kind of made a cheap way out and just sewed straps on to make it look like the belts are coming over top, which I think is a really good idea. And then I have a big strap on the back to help hold my cord because Lord knows when you're carrying something heavy on your back and you don't have it situated right on you, it's going to hurt. And I have Velcro dots holding these straps on so I can take these off. And unfortunately I can't take this one off because the zipper doesn't come undone all the way. The only one that does is this one. But this one's the typical Suna ninja vest that they wear in the war. This is craft foam, and then we put fabric over top of it and sewed it onto the straps. It's just kind of like a box, but it comes attached right here, like it's supposed to be, and it's just kind of one big sheet across my back. And then, next one, maybe. I have a long red shirt underneath, which I made the sleeves big because I like having his big puffy sleeves better than tight. Because it's in the manga, it's what it looks like to me. It's a bit puffier, it's a bit bigger than his arms. It's not skin tight, and you have to be able to fight in it and move. And I can move it every which way I want to, except when I have that on. And let me put myself back together. And then I made pants, which I am wearing. I have belt loops on them, especially on this side. I have one to attach part of my cord onto me. It comes on at different parts, and it just comes straight down. It comes to about my knees, and I have medical wrap for his. And then I made my own shoes, which is kind of hard to see, I know. But I used leftover fabric from my pants, and I bought a black flip-flop. And so I sewed all this stuff separately, and then I actually sewed it onto the shoe because it's just like leather almost. So I just took a needle and went through it. It took forever, and I stabbed myself multiple times. But I sewed the fabric onto the shoe myself, so I'm very proud of that. Except this one's better, or no, that one's better. This one I used a straight needle for, this one I used a curved needle for, and the only difference between them is 6 hours and how much better it is. So, when I made this, we didn't use any patterns at all, so we had a few mishaps. Like with the pants, we made 2 different patterns for it, and then we went back to the first one because it was better. So we didn't use any patterns at all. We completely made everything ourselves because I did have help when it came to doing the sewing and things like that because I'm not a very good seamstress at all. But so it's just basic pieces, but we kind of add our own twist to them, especially with this one. It's not just, it couldn't directly attach, it's actually attached over top of it. And this one's kind of the same way, and it's got that same kind of style, just to be a little bit different. And with any advice for cosplayers, try to put your own spin on it. Add a little bit of something that's a little bit different, but you can still tell who the characters are. Because when you see the same character over and over and over and they all look exactly the same, it gets kind of boring and they're a little frustrating at times, especially if they're a character you don't like. But just try to do something different with it. Like for me, it's probably my boards because I don't just paint it one flat solid color, which I'm going to talk about next. But try and do something a little bit different. It'll look a lot better and people will remember you more. When I do Gaara, a lot of people remember me for my boards. And when I do Sakura, I'm not exactly sure what they remember me for, but I do Sakura. And the gourd, I have 2 of them that made them the same way, but this one's the second one I made, but this is Confucius Senior. You guys, it's a lot heavier than that one, and it has a lot more wrinkles. When I first did this one, I tried to keep it as flat as I could, but I had a few wrinkles and I was kind of upset at first, but when I painted it and put it on, it looked better with them. So on this one I added a lot more to it and actually intentionally wrinkled it. To do this is just 2 big bouncy balls from Walmart. I know Gaara's gourd is technically one bigger on the bottom and a smaller one on the top, but I'm not a huge fan of that. I think it looks kind of funny, especially if you do one huge one and a small one. It just doesn't look proportional. And especially for me, I tried to keep this proportional to my body, and this is just what I found that I liked better. But then I paper mache each ball, like for 3 layers, and then I used duct tape in the middle. I did vertical and then horizontal around it for a couple of layers to keep it together. And then I actually used like 1.5 rolls of duct tape or more, not quite sure exactly, but the cardboard piece from the middle, from the used duct tape, I put on the top and used duct tape to completely cover it and attach it with a cork. And I don't know if you can see this, but I also added rings to it, which are like what you would use for index cards. You put them on, and then use duct tape to keep them on, so I have something to attach to, and not just the middle. And you could go through this, and it's a lot more comfortable than it normally would be. Then I painted it white as a base layer, and then I added tan and dark brown. And when I painted this, I didn't use brushes. The only part I used brushes for was the black letters in the boxes. For the rest of this, I used finger painting, which is a lot more fun, and it looks a lot more better because it's got different textures to it. And not only that, but it looks more layered, so it looks a lot more natural. I didn't do one single base coat because I've seen gourds like that done, and it annoys me so much because it's just one flat color. There's nothing to it, and it's kind of irritating to look at, to be honest with you. So if you do one base layer, that's fine. That's just your style, but that's not how I would prefer it. I prefer it better like this because it looks more realistic, which is what I try to do when I cosplay. So. And then I have a strip from a white sheet. I use this to attach to the strap on my back of my vest. Then I have bottom rings that go to my belt loop, and then I use this. I have a piece of elastic that goes underneath my arms and around my neck to the back of my neck where I reattach the top of it too. So it distributes the weight a little bit more than normally would. So that is my General Gaara / Commander Gaara cosplay from Naruto Shippuden the manga. If you have any questions about how I made anything, please leave a comment or whatever. I'm not afraid to answer questions. I'm not going to hold back secrets. I've had questions about my gourd before, and I will be more than happy to answer them. But I think I'm going to do my own separate tutorial just for my gourds later on. I'm probably not going to do it right now. But I'll go a bit more in depth in what I use exactly and what I would recommend for anybody. So, yeah. So this is To the Stars and Back from DeviantArt signing off.